Johnson is also in Tampa to show us what a 15-foot storm surge could mean for that city. Good morning, Whit.
Hey, Robin, good morning to you. And you can see these streets are still lined with debris. This is left over from Hurricane Helene. So people here going through this all over again. That brought a record storm surge of up to 8 feet in some places. Milton expected to shatter that. People saying that this community was completely flooded. So let's take a look from our drone camera right now. We have it about level with the roof line behind me. And this is what officials are fearing, that storm surge. You can imagine 10 to 15 feet. That is why we're seeing the mass evacuation. That's why the windows are boarded up here, and they're calling this the storm of the century. Tampa has not seen a hurricane make direct landfall since 1921. So regardless of where Milton comes ashore, officials expecting unprecedented and catastrophic damage. Again, it's not just the storm surge and the flooding, but those dangerous hurricane force winds. Expect a deadly combination. Robin.
And that's why people are taking precautions. Thank you, Whit.
Just an incredible hurricane. It has dropped 50 millibars in 10 hours. I apologize. This is just horrific. Maximum sustained winds are 160 miles per hour, and it is just gaining strength in the Gulf of Mexico, where you can imagine the winds. The seas are just so incredibly hot, record hot, as you might imagine. You know what's driving that. I don't need to tell you. Global warming, climate change, leading to this and becoming an increasing threat for the Yucatan, including Mérida and Progreso and other areas there. Let's see if I can show you the latest. There's the Cat 5 information. Winds 160 miles per hour, moving east-southeast at 9 miles per hour. And on that track, you're going to notice that this system is going to come very, very close to the Yucatan, and the dirty side of this hurricane, folks, is on the right-hand side of its progress. So therefore, they're going to get the dirty side there. These communities, many of them, as you might imagine, many folks, in that area have just the very basics, nothing else but that. So it's going to be very tough. Now let's transition to Florida, because even though it is expected to weaken on approach,
6 to 9 foot storm surge. The National Hurricane Center says the current path of the storm is a worst case scenario for the region. ABC's Whit Johnson joins us there live now. Whit, give us a sense of what you're experiencing on the ground.
Hey, Lindsay, well, I can tell you that ever since this storm, Milton, made landfall, the hurricane force winds, we can really start to feel it. We're inside a very secure, we're calling it a bunker, but it's a big parking structure where we've been set up. But let me show you over the edge here. You can get a look at just these bands of rain that are coming down and the wind gusts. We've been seeing the palm trees bending in the wind, the sign across the street. We've actually seen some debris and some other stuff blow down the road here. Again, we're in a safe location. When the gusts pick up, we back up a little bit. But this is what officials have been warning about. We were here a couple weeks ago with Hurricane Helene. We knew that this would not just be a storm surge event, but also a wind event. And officials, I was actually talking to the fire chief earlier today, the fire chief of Tampa, who said that as the storm is hitting, which is right now, they cannot send their emergency crews out to save people. So if people are not in a safe place right now, they're pretty much on their own. This is why they were really encouraging people to get out and heed those evacuation warnings, because of this combination of the rain, up to a foot of rain they were expecting in Tampa. That historic storm surge, even beyond what we had with Helene a couple of weeks ago. And now we're really seeing these powerful hurricane force winds. Here comes another band right now. But just to give you a sense of what we're dealing with in here, I'm going to show you around. This is the parking garage, because people have asked, how are you all set up here? That's Jacqueline, our correspondent down the way. But you can see as the wind is coming in, and if you come back through here, I'm just going to turn it this way a little bit. You can see it's a fortified parking garage where we're all set up back here. I'll take you back out this way, Lindsay. One of the things that we learned today is, a lot of people here in Tampa, they're accustomed to storms, they're accustomed to flooding. This is an area that floods all the time. But we spoke with a lot of people who were shocked and surprised by what they experienced with Hurricane Helene. So when they started getting the warnings to evacuate, they heeded those warnings. We talked to a number of people who did not evacuate with the last storm, but they did this time. The city of Tampa Bay had to open a number of shelters to get everybody to a safe place. More than 13,000 people are sleeping in a shelter tonight. We spoke to a number of families who said, look, we're familiar with hurricanes, grew up in this area, but we're not taking any chances. And we're seeing the impact right now as these bands continue to pick up. Lindsay?
Glad to hear that people are heeding those warnings. Interesting, at least at this point, that the electricity is still on right there where you are. Again, we know that about 800,000 customers across the state are without power at this hour. What are you hearing from the residents there who just got through Helene, now dealing with Milton?
I mean, many of them are just exhausted, Lindsay. I mean, we talked to a few people who were even thinking about leaving Tampa and moving away altogether. They've just had enough. They've had a number of evacuations almost every year for a variety of different big storms and hurricanes that have come through. And this time, especially after Helene, it caused so much damage, so much flooding, to then for those same families to pack up and leave their homes all over again. Actually, we got another gust coming in. Steve, if you want to just take a look over here. Sorry, Lindsay, just picking up on that point, just wanted to show you the power of some of these gusts coming through. But to pick up on that point, people are exhausted. They're tired. They're hoping that this isn't as bad as what was forecasted. We'll wait to see what happens with the surge. Obviously, this storm heading further to the south, whereas Helene went to the north. So there may be a different impact when it comes to the storm surge and the flooding, but no doubt this is going to cause a lot of damage.
Yeah, we can imagine just punishing wind and rain there, Whit, and we're glad to see that you and the crew are staying safe. Thank you so much.